Hi, I'm
Hi,
Lindsay.
I'm Caitlin.
Nice to meet you. What brings you in today?
So my husband gets deployed to Afghanistan, so
Wow.
just been experiencing a lot of stress lately.
Yeah, I bet.
Balancing school, work, my dogs, everything else, and then him being gone. It's just a lot of being lonely and feeling sad.
A lot of loneliness. Yeah,
Yeah,
like you said.
not having anyone there. Just be close to.
Yeah. Tell me about balancing everything.
It's really hard to balance school and work and my dogs and just all the responsibilities that I have just because, there's a lot of times where, I'll be in class and he'll be trying to talk to me and I can't talk to him because I'm in class or, I'm doing homework or I have a paper due and I can't focus, multitask and try to get stuff done. So it's really hard just to...
It must be really frustrating.
Yeah, it's really frustrating, really, annoying and just wish that, there was, a compromise to make or something to be able to just be able to talk to him and be able to get everything else done.
Is that the compromise you mean?
Yeah, just trying to, be able to get everything else done and still be able to talk to him and just be able to balance everything.
How long ago did he deploy?
He deployed about a month ago, so I'm just kind of getting into the
swing of things.
Yeah, just trying to cope with, him being gone and trying to transition from, him being here to him not being here.
Right.
It's really hard just to get into that mode of, switching from coming home to someone every day and then not. You get home and you're oh, and when you have to eat dinner alone and stuff like that.
It must be almost sad to not have him there with you like you're used to.
Yeah, and especially because I'll be, I'll be sitting, at the table by myself or something like that. And when when you go to restaurants and you see a person sitting by yourself, you can't help but feel bad for them.
Right.
So I think about that. I just feel really alone, just sad because he's not around right now.
You knew he was deploying ahead of time, obviously. Do you have any kind of support, group or anything that you can go to?
Well,
have been going to.
My friends are really supportive about it, but they don't really know what I'm going through.
Right.
So it's kind of just you get to vent to them, and they're like, oh, I feel bad. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry doesn't really help, especially because you're trying to be oh, how do I, asking for advice and stuff like that, and they're just
it's almost like they can't relate to what you're going through.
Right. And I've tried, to be friends with Army wives and stuff, but they're just really full of drama, and I just don't need the added stress in my life. So really, the only people that I can relate to, I can't really relate to because I'm not, the stereotypical Army wife that sits at home and raises their kids.
Stereotypical Army wife, just because of the staying at home and raising kids. Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, there's Army wives that go to school and do the stuff that I do, but I don't have kids, so it's really hard to relate to most of them because most of them are older than me and do have kids.
Right.
So they have that connection, whereas I don't.
It's almost like you're being left out, but nothing you can really do about it. That must be hard as well.
Yeah, because it's kind of the connection you do have with them, you don't have the other connection.
Right, and they have each other because they have both connections, but you don't, unfortunately, which that can't be easy. You're one support group that.
And it's really hard to not have someone that really understands what you're going through. Because I'm sorry only goes so far.
Right, it doesn't fix or help anything.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, and then whenever I do get to talk to him, and be able to vent to him about what goes on in my day or whatnot, and have him as my support system. He's always oh, I'm sorry, I have to go, or doesn't really get a chance to respond, and so I'm okay, because I can't really be why can't you talk to me?
Right.
I have to kind of be understanding about it.
Exactly, which, although you have to be understanding, it must be difficult at times because this person that you want to tell everything to, you can't, and they have to be gone. That I can't imagine. That must be incredibly hard.
Yeah, I mean, especially because I have to be so understanding because I can't just question, what are you doing?
Right.
Where are you going? Why can't you talk to me?
Right.
So it is really hard, and I know, like, I get frustrated a lot, especially, I try not to tell him, but I do get frustrated a lot. Just don't understand, why he can't talk to me.
Right.
But then, I think about it, think, this is why, but I still don't want to,
Right.
think about it, I guess.
Right, exactly. It's almost must be easier to not think about.
Yeah, and sometimes he doesn't tell me really what's going on over there. Like, sometimes he can't, but then times when he can, he doesn't want to tell me because he's worried. He thinks I'll worry. So he just doesn't tell me, but then, other parts of me think that's a good thing that he doesn't tell me, but then other parts think, okay, yeah, but I want you to tell me.
Right, you want to know what's going on.
Right.
Know he's okay.
Right.
How often do you get to hear from him?
It really depends on the day, but I tend to talk to him every day, but only for 10, 15 minutes maybe. But that's really frustrating because sometimes I want to tell him about my day, tell him stuff, but really it's just how are you? How are you doing? I'm okay. Gotta go by.
Right.
So it's really frustrating to not be able to have the same connection.
Right.
There as we do here.
Exactly. I mean, I'm assuming when you're here, you can talk to him whenever you want. And it's not like that when he's there.
Right. Our communication's really, arm controlled, I guess. Meaning, he can only talk to me, when he's not busy doing other things.
But for you, you want to talk to him all the time and tell him everything.
Yeah.
So it must not all of a sudden, but when he left, that person that you had to vent to and to talk to all the time left.
Yeah. And, he kind of understands, because he's going through it, so I can just be I'm furious because, this and this, but then, now that he's gone, I kind of have to be more understanding. Can't be just I'm so annoyed that I can never talk to you.
Right.
Because that's, putting additional stress on him, which he doesn't need either.
Must put a little bit of additional stress on you, though.
Yeah. I guess I just think of it as I'm not in a war zone, so I don't want him worrying about me or how I'm doing, so I kind of just try to keep it to myself, but sometimes it just comes out.
I think that's understandable. I think that although you're not in a war zone, you still have daily stresses that must, build up if you don't have anyone, if that person that you would tell them all to is kind of gone.
Yeah.
It must be a lot for you to take on and have on your plate.
It's really frustrating sometimes, because he can't talk to me as much as I would like him to.
Right. Tell me a little bit about your conversations with him. I don't want to perceive this the wrong way, but I'm getting from you that they're almost you asking about him and him telling you about as much as he wants to about what's going on and less so about you venting unless you really, really need it.
Yeah, I tell him about, my day and stuff like that, but I can't, go, oh, this is my day or whatever, because he'll just go, oh, well, I did this today, and it kind of trumps me.
You just feel like it doesn't compare.
Yeah, so I just kind of, he understands, that really stinks that, you've had a bad day or whatnot, but then, I guess it's more of me, thinking, oh, well, your day's a lot worse than mine. I'm sorry. Let's talk more about that if you want to.
Right.
So I kind of just push my stresses aside, I guess.
Right. It's very selfless.
Yeah.
Of you.
I guess so.
It is. Definitely. Yes, what he's doing may be not more important, but more intense for sure. But you still have daily stresses that.
Yeah.
Must.
And it's really, juggling everything, trying to find time between work and school and all the other responsibilities, and then trying to find time to talk to him. And I might be in class for 20 minutes, and I might miss a text for 20 minutes, and I think, oh, I should have looked at my phone, or I should have just answered, or that kind of thing.
I feel some guilt almost a little bit about not, when you don't answer, when you do miss a text.
Yeah, and like going back, like when he was in basic, I only got to talk to him twice, and I missed both phone calls. So that was like awful, just because. And like now, you know, if he calls and I can't answer, I can't call him back.
Right.
So that's really frustrating too, is because, you know, what if he had to tell me something important or something like that, and he can't tell me now because I, you know, was busy or I was in class or I was at work.
I feel like you place a lot of blame on yourself though, but you have a lot going on. You've said that it's a lot to balance. Tell me a little bit about, you know, work and school and balancing everything.
Well, I guess, like, I just try, I like staying busy because, you know, it gets my mind off of, you know, him being gone. Not, you know, I'm not home that much. So, like, when I do go home, you know, I have my dogs, so they're there to, like, occupy my time. But it's hard, you know, balancing work and school and being busy all the time and then trying to, you know, find time to talk to him still, you know, especially when I'm at work or I'm at school. I'm trying to do my homework and I can't really, you know, think straight, multitask, trying to talk to him and trying to, you know, write a 7-page paper.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. So it seems that's the hardest thing for you. At least that's what I'm understanding. The hardest thing for you is trying to do your normal day-to-day life and do that alone, unfortunately, and then try to still communicate with him and talk to him. And
yeah, I mean, like when he's here, you know, I just go home and talk to him. So
he's there.
Yeah, I don't really have to worry about, you know, balancing that extra stress. But
Right.
you know, when he's gone, you know, I have to add in that, you know, trying to find time, you know, between, you know, everything else, try to find time to like pick up my phone and call or text or, you know, whatever.
Right. And then on top of the finding time, but you know, you're still keeping up with all your schoolwork. You said you're working and
Yeah.
you have dogs, right?
Yep.
So taking care of them, maybe you're not taking care of them alone. I think that's a lot that you're now is on your plate.
Yeah, and it's all up to me. So, you know, my dogs are, you know, created a large sum of the day, which makes me feel really bad. But, like, on the other hand, I have no idea what I would do without them. Because, you know, they are there when, you know, I go home and I have to eat alone or, you know, whatever.
They keep you company.
They kind of keep me company.
Yeah.
Even though they can't talk to me.
It's okay. I'm sure they listen well.
Yeah.
Do your dogs make you, I don't want to say feel less lonely, but do they help with that at all, being alone in the
Yeah,
house?
like, just kind of, you know, they're an extra, you know, responsibility.
Right.
Something there to take up time.
Right.
Something there to, you know, be there to give pet or, you know, another, like, attention grabber, I
Right.
guess.
Something to keep you busy, like you
Right.
said.
Yeah.
It's good. So I'm getting from you that, you know, obviously this is an incredible, difficult time that you're going through that not a lot of people can relate to. I mean, your friends really just can't relate, unfortunately, and the people that can relate, because you don't have kids, you find it hard to relate to them, which is absolutely understandable. And so your husband, who is now deployed, you can only talk to so often. I really want to, I think like a good preliminary goal to set would be to try to almost, if possible, as much as possible, try to find a time that you can talk to. I feel like that'll relieve a lot of the guilt that you have for when you miss talking to him, and almost, if you can tell him about what's going on with you. What's going on with you is still important. Even what's going on with him is important as well, but I really would encourage you to tell him more about you as much as possible. I think that it's an important thing to do. Do you think that's
I think that's, you know,
something
doable.
Doable, definitely. I don't know if maybe in the morning you could try to figure out a time that, or an estimate of time that would work for both of you to communicate on the days that you will talk for those 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's doable, and just be able to, you know, talk to him a little bit more.
Yeah.
Or at least one for sure thing to look forward to.
Exactly. Something that if it's scheduled in, then you know you won't miss us. You won't have that guilt and that blame that I feel that you've been placing on yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that something you think you can work on
Yeah.
before? Would you like to meet again maybe next week?
Yeah.
Okay.